Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. My name is Dr. Chhoda. This right here is a little bit of information about me. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. This channel, the Ignition Time channel, is about the country, the economy, as well as our money. Many of our viewers and subscribers are starting to get more and more concerned, rightly so, about the Delta variant. Yes, folks, everyone is concerned. Could we see another wave of shutdowns? In fact, the CDC just announced that United States citizens should not fly to the United Kingdom because of the new strain. There are other countries actually shutting down because of this variant. Let's hope we don't have to do the same. The big question is, what is going to happen to the economy? Well, folks, here's the headline of an article on your screen from CNBC. Bill Ackman, who's a very highly respected investor, still sees a massive economic boom despite the Delta variant. In fact, he said the economy is likely to improve so much that the Federal Reserve is likely to raise interest rates. By the way, what that means is mortgages will become more expensive, the interest on credit cards will go up, and it becomes more expensive to borrow money, which means that home prices tend to cool off, and the stock market also tends to cool off when that happens. So, what did the billionaire investor Bill Ackman say? He said this, and I quote, "I hope what it does is that it motivates anyone who doesn't get the vaccine to get the vaccine." He's referring to the new threat of the Delta variant, and he was asked whether it poses a significant threat to the reopening of the economy. So let's get back to Bill Ackman. He says, "I hope what it does is that it motivates anyone who doesn't get the vaccine to get the vaccine. I don't think it's going to change behavior to a great extent." He said, "You are going to see a massive, my view, economic boom. We are going to have an extremely strong economy coming in the fall." So folks, the Delta variant is actually causing flare-ups across unvaccinated sections of our country, and it is leading to an increase in hospitalizations as cases climb. Now, let's be clear. It is my opinion that if this variant does spread, we need to extend unemployment benefits and we need to have a fourth stimulus check. However, according to Bill Ackman, he believes that this is not going to be a major problem and we are likely to see an economic boom. I have a question for you. Do you think we are likely to see an economic boom this fall, or do you think we'll see a bust in the economy? So what did Bill Ackman say? He said that bond yields will trend much higher in the second half of 2021 as the economy continues to recover. In fact, he said this, I quote, "I think rates are going up. Short rates, I think, are going to go up a lot faster than people think. Coming to the turn of the year, I think we are going to have meaningfully higher yields as people realize the economy is going to make a big recovery." In fact, Ackman talked about the big correction in the stock market. He said, "Today's move, I would borrow as much as you can in the long-term fixed rate on the basis of today's rates." Basically, he's saying, hey, it's cheap to borrow money. Now is a time to borrow money. Now, I do want our viewers and subscribers to know that at the height of the pandemic in March 2020, Ackman actually was on CNBC and he warned investors that, I quote, "hell is coming," and he urged the White House to shut down the country for a month. Well, folks, we all know what happened to the country and the stock market in March, April, May, June, July of 2020. Guess what? No one was listening to him then. Now, I do want to be clear with our viewers and subscribers, and I'm going to be completely honest here. There are a lot of other channels out there that talk about the coming stock market crash, the coming housing crash, because guess what, folks? Bad news sells. When you see a YouTube video that says the coming stock market crash or the coming housing crash, you're likely to click on it because fear sells. I'm not here to sell fear. I'm here to tell you the truth wherever the truth might lead us. I believe that Bill Ackman is actually right. I believe that we will see a major economic boom, but I also believe that there are going to be certain sections of the country that, because of their low vaccination rates, are likely to see a slow economic recovery. And maybe, just maybe, states in those situations, states that have a high incident of the Delta virus, states that have a spike in hospitalizations, let's just hope that doesn't happen. But these states should step up and increase unemployment benefits, should do stimulus checks for their residents. Do we need everyone across the country to see more unemployment and more stimulus checks? I don't think so. But do we need to see specific states helping their residents because of low vaccination rates? I believe that should be the case. In fact, I believe the answer lies somewhere in the middle, where on the one hand, Bill Ackman is right. with the coming economic boom. And by the way, when we talk economic boom, it's good news, right? Good news doesn't tend to get as many clicks as bad news. But again, my goal is to be truthful with you in this video. When Bill Ackman says that an economic boom is coming, honestly, it's not that exciting. But when he says there's a big stock market crash coming, which he hasn't, I'm talking about other channels, then that tends to get more clicks. So here's what's going on, everyone. Bill Ackman, the renowned investor, basically predicts a massive economic boom coming despite the Delta variant, and he expects interest rates to go up. He expects treasury yields to go up, which, by the way, is going to lead to a decline in the stock market, is going to lead to a decline in home prices. In fact, let's hear directly from Bill Ackman in this important interview that he just did on CNBC. Let's roll the tape and hear from Bill Ackman, the billionaire investor. Let's watch.
I hope what it does is it motivates anyone who doesn't have a vaccine to get a vaccine. I don't think it's going to change behavior to a great extent. I think people are done, I am, with being in a cave, right? Hiding from the rest of the world. They want to go out. They're going to have fun. They're going to go to restaurants. You're going to see a massive, in my view, economic boom. On the margin, there'll be some people who are afraid. Some people who are afraid of getting a vaccine, and they're therefore afraid of going out. But I think we're going to have an extremely strong economy come the fall. I think people are going to return to work in September. And I think companies are going to insist on vaccines, and I think it's a good thing. And, I have, even some people in my own company that I would say we're probably 3 people who haven't gotten a vaccine. And, in one case, sort of a philosophical objection or maybe a religious one. And, my question is, you take antibiotics, you take other drugs. If you can take an antibiotic for, some other kind of infection, why won't you, have a vaccine? And would you rather? And other people are concerned about the risk, and the risk is, in my view, a lot greater that you get COVID than if you look at the side effects from getting.
So what's going to be the Bill Ackman policy at the office?
Moderna vaccines.
What's going to be the policy? So for those 3 people who haven't been vaccinated.
Yeah, so I'm doing my best to convince everyone who hasn't gotten a vaccine by being convincing, and then by the time everyone comes back to work, we'll decide what we're going to do about our vaccine policy.
Also want to ask you just more broadly.
93%. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about inflation, and both the inflation that we are seeing, maybe some of the supply chain issues that are creating some of this. The big question is this the new normal, or is it transitory?
I'm in closer to the new normal with respect to many sources of inflation. So one, I think inflation's understated. There's very, very significant they talk about home equivalent rents or ownership equivalent rents, and those are really understated. If you look at what's going on in the housing market, we have a housing boom. Talk to a home builder. Everything's it's on allocation. You have to, and have a friend who knows the CEO in order to buy a home. So you're seeing housing prices go way up. I think the way the data is collected for the kind of CPI or other inflation numbers really understate what's going on in housing, and that's approaching a third of inflation. So there's housing inflation. There's real wage inflation. One of the big issues, and I think this is not a transitory thing at all, which is recruiting, trying to get people to come work in a hotel, work in a restaurant. I think it's harder now because of some of the stimulus. I think it will be a little bit easier come September. But a lot of people have made sort of life choices and various things. I think you're going to have to pay people to come to work, and I think that's actually a big positive. It's probably a long-term positive for the economy. So you've had $5 trillion of stimulus. You have an increase in wages. You have a lot of savings. You have the stimulus of a lot of people being vaccinated around the same time. All of these things lead to massive, massive economic growth and demand, and we still have an extremely accommodative Federal Reserve. So I think rates are going up.
So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree with Bill Ackman? Do you also agree or disagree with my position, which is that the general economy will rebound? We will see an economic boom, but we will see suffering. We will see pain. We will see anguish in some parts of the country that are not vaccinated or have low vaccination rates. And states need to step up and help those residents. The federal government cannot say, oh, we're going to send stimulus only to some states. The federal government makes decisions for the whole country. And it is up to the states to step up and help their local residents. And that is what I think states should do. Whether they do it or not, that is an entirely different question, but I'll be sure to keep you posted. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. I appreciate you. I want you to know that I work hard on this channel every single day. And check out my video. Here's a little bit of information about me. You'll learn how I was personally able to overcome the cycle of poverty. And my goal is to help you overcome the cycle of poverty. I am committed to you. For me, this channel is a labor of love. It's a way for me to give back to the country and to the residents who have given me everything I have. And I say this from the bottom of my heart. Hopefully you can tell with the integrity of the content and the sincerity of my voice. Because at the end of the day, I want to give back to our beloved country, the United States of America. Once again, please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.